Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular council meeting of July 20th, 2021. We have 16 items on the agenda today and a delegation. Can I please get a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make that motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. I would like a motion to adopt the minutes from the regular meeting of June 1st, 2021.
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes.
I'll second.
Any questions, comments?
Motion 02-1187, I think was actually seconded by Aaron because I was chairing the meeting that day.
Yes.
Thanks.
Oh, this is business arising to the minutes, correct?
Yes.
One moment, I'm just loading it. There's a couple of things in there that we had discussed that they were to be action items, and I'm just wondering what action was taken on them. I highlighted them here. The pool, did we figure out what's going on with the pool?
Yeah, do you want to address it in the CEO's report or?
Okay,
That's fine.
so there's one there. The follow-up on the Ski Hill Chalet insurance, that was all, we're good there?
That's all part of my report.
Okay, well, just,
Yep.
business arising from minutes, that's what I'm going through. There's one last thing. There's a minor thing. But that's also on the agenda, so I'm good. Thank you for taking the time.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Slager. Anything else? All in favor? Thank you very much. Accounts payable, motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $187,911.74.
I'll make a motion to pay the open payables.
I'll second that.
Questions?
I don't have any.
Thank you.
None for me.
Councilor Slager?
I've got a bunch of checks that are written to one person that are canceled. I was curious as to,
Which ones are?
okay,
Is
so,
it the Arts in the Park that got canceled?
oh, that could be it. That's some of it. And the other one is, say, 59548.
Yes, what happened was there was their travel for their swimming pool lesson stuff was calculated in the wrong amount, so it was calculated, new check was issued.
Gotcha. And then we wrote,
Yeah, and sorry, the other one you mentioned was Arts in the Park. We were provided with names, but then the name was changed, so there was a new check issued.
gotcha. And then with the recycling depot, we wrote a check, canceled a check, wrote the check again
Yes,
for the same amount.
yes, and that was, I can't remember the exact reasoning, but there was an error on the check.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Today we have a delegation from Yukon Energy, and our delegate is Andre Gagne.
Gagne, Energy Solutions.
Energy Solutions. Hi, Andre.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Pleasure. How's everyone doing?
Just fine.
Good.
Lovely day in Watson Lake.
Is this my moment to shine, or is everyone?
Yep, this is your time to shine and speak to us about your presentation of electric charging stations at the town hall admin building.
Okay, so yeah, I do have a little presentation, but just as a preamble, just some history. just of my recent trip to Watson in May, I was tasked to go there and identify 3 candidate locations for a DC fast charger. So that would be for charging an electric vehicle very quickly. And the infrastructure is the kind of thing that you would use for long distance travel. And it's just want to contrast it between other types of chargers. It would be for a 20-minute charge. But yeah, essentially I spoke to a number of people while I was there, and a lot of people pointed me towards the City Hall building, which the more I looked into it, I thought that is an appealing site. Originally, I was asked to try and get a site at a Yukon government building or on Yukon government lands, but it just, to me, and just based on feedback that I heard, it looks great to me there, and seemed like it was something that people were interested in. So I will then deliver a little presentation to you and
Sure.
see what you think. I'll make it really brief. That way I can field any questions you may have, not knowing exactly what kind of information you're after tonight.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So let's just, okay, I'm going to share my screen. This is always fun when we do this, to see how this works. Screen 1, share. I'm hoping, one second here. It's swap presenter doing slide view. Can you see kind of like a slide with no notes on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's my opening slide.
I'm just messing around.
So here's the Yukon map with a bunch of dots on it. We've got some blue dots. There's 5 blue dots. So there's 5 DC fast chargers installed in the Yukon on the main grid. And right now we've just completed a tender for 6 DC fast chargers to be installed on the main grid. So Teslin, CarMax, Pelly, Stewart, Dawson, and Mayo. And then the other dots are sort of more aspirational or next stages. So Watson Lake, we really want to put a charger there. And looking ahead, Ross River, Faro, Destruction Bay, and Beaver Creek. There will be other chargers as well, but those are kind of your obvious in-community locations. And this screen I'll just spend just a minute on. Essentially, when people talk about EV chargers, there's really kind of 3 different main kinds. And just to give you a quick contrast, the kind that I'm talking about today, they cost about $100,000 to $125,000 each to install. Whereas kind of everyday chargers are more in the order of $2,000 or $3,000. And the electricity needed is no different than that we would use for a dry or a range. So we're talking about 480 volts, and the draw is up to 50 kilowatts. So essentially, here's my main slide for the town of Watson Lake. This is kind of the slide that says this is what we propose. So essentially, we want to buy a charger, pay for it, and pay for all the ongoing maintenance, and assume all liabilities, and pay for all the electricity going to this charger. So that's the main message, is that we want to make sure there's absolutely no financial side to it for Watson Lake. And what we ask for that in exchange is, given the great space that you have, given you've got a recently retrofitted, super energy efficient building there with solar on it, it really matches. We just ask that you provide the space and you allow technicians to access the site. So that's the long and the short of it. Of course, there's more nuance to it, but this is what we've agreed to with other parties that we've installed chargers on that's not YG land. Where is this coming from? What's this all about? Well, a few years ago, that would have been a question that no one could answer because we weren't installing any fast chargers and no one had EVs in the Yukon. But now we have a guiding document called Our Clean Future. So what I'm working on is install, is this, I don't know if you can see the arrow, you probably can't read it, but it says there's all these commitments in this document to improve Yukon's carbon emissions, to bring things down. So this one is install fast charging stations across the Yukon, make it possible to travel between all road accessible Yukon communities. Work with BC, work with NWT, work with Alaska to make Yukon connected to neighboring jurisdictions. And this is where Watson Lake comes in. Super relevant location, as we all know, Watson Lake is in a very remote location. Distances to Fort Nelson and beyond, very vast. There's not a lot of charging. There are very few charging possibilities in the area. So Watson Lake is super important to have something there anchoring us at kilometer zero in the Yukon. And so when I left Watson, it seemed like we would hopefully be able to install this there. And so I worked with ATCO to figure out, is it plausible? Is it something we can technically do? They've confirmed that yes, the transformer behind your building it has space on it, and we could dig a trench from there through to roughly where the parking lot is in front of City Hall. And that is a technically feasible thing. So while I was there, I kind of mocked up a spot that would work. If you look at this picture, Cam tells me that you can move the garbage can, you can move the recycling thing out of the way, and that maybe we could put a charger where those pylons are, like not on the sidewalk, obviously, but next to the sidewalk. And again, it's a mock-up, it doesn't need to be there, but you'll see a pair of pylons and a pair of blue things further closer to the door. That would be your bike rack. So it kind of would fit nicely. Building, 4 feet of space, bike rack, 4 feet of space, then the charger. So that's kind of what I mocked up, just to imagine something and to put something that could go into a tender. Of course, we didn't put it out to tender. And then, so I've been going through this same process in those other communities. So we have one that is hopefully going to be installed in Teslin fairly soon, just by the bridge across from the Yukon Hotel. And I mentioned Teslin because it's your neighboring town. So I went through a similar process there. I'm just going to skip through it. Swift River is on the table, a very tiny grid, very tiny diesel grid, but it might be prudent to put something in there because the distance between Watson and Teslin is quite vast. Why is government doing this? Because it's expensive to do electric vehicle charging. In other jurisdictions, utilities are taking care of this, but in the Yukon, it looks like Yukon government is going to have to take the lead with federal dollars to put in that kind of base layer to make EV travel possible. Electric vehicle. If I keep saying EV, I mean electric vehicles. Some other stuff we're working on figuring out what kind of range you can get with electric vehicles in the winter. We're happy to say that all of our participants have no problems using EVs in the winter. It does require, of course, more energy, like it would for a gas vehicle or a diesel vehicle in the winter. Your mileage goes down. So we estimate that you need double the energy to drive an electric vehicle at -40. So in other words, compared to today and -40, you need double the energy to drive an electric vehicle. But of course, that's an outlier kind of day. You use about 33% more electricity on your typical January day, the high of say -12 and a low of -20 or something. So just we're working on that, trying to quantify this for others who are thinking about making the change. This is what the unit would look like if things were to work out in the future. Or if it doesn't work out with you, then it may end up at some other location in Watson Lake. But it looks like this. It looks kind of like a fuel pump sized box. And we're happy to say they work just fine in the winter. So I hope, I don't want to be too wordy. I think I've gone on for 7 minutes here. I'm going to stop now. It is a meeting, and I bet you guys were thinking 5 minutes or 10 minutes for me. Is that correct?
I think that was just perfect, Andre. Thank you. I got the Coles notes of what you're proposing, which is great. And we've all got other information from you as well. So I am just going to turn to council if there's any questions for you.
Did they consider this, because it's gonna be what, about 15 minutes to to achieve an 80% charge with this fast charger?
Dean, it's gonna vary a little bit. It depends on the size of the battery pack. But yeah, let's say 15 to 30 minutes for the majority of electric vehicles.
Okay.
Compared to,
My thought was, while your vehicle's charging and maybe they'll have like multiple places to put this. Has anyone considered like the parking lot of the Signpost Horse? Then you have something to look around and look at least while you're charging your vehicle, or you could skip across the street to Ted's. Or you could go to the visitor center that will be there in the future and spend some time there while you're, did anyone think of that?
oh yeah, there's all kinds of ways you could do this. I like this location, just I'm not set on it, but I do like it. It's next to grocery store and restaurants. I prefer it over we were looking at the liquor store, and we were looking at property management offices just because of where transformers are and where YG lands are. But yeah, certainly there's definitely other options. I mean, the Signpost Forest, that makes sense. So in short, just when we were there, all signs seem to be pointing to your location, but it may not go that way. It's totally up to you. Don't want to force anything that you don't want. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Any other questions?
Do you know that a private business owner is looking to put his own charging station in the community already?
That's great. Are they looking to put a DC fast charger at this price tag, or is it more like for everyday use?
I'm not sure, but his name is Andy Shannon. I'm sure you could call and ask him.
Andy Shannon?
Yep.
So one thing we haven't been doing is, I'll take that name down.
One of the questions, and I don't know that you can answer this, but to me, this is the real meat of the situation, is I don't know how we can look people in the face and say this is for a greener future when our community is powered by diesel. And I know that there's been some explanations of how that's going to offset this, but that makes no sense to me because I'd really like my house to offset it too, but that's not how it works. So
Yeah.
when the Yukon government has absolutely zero intention of limiting the amount of diesel burned in this community for electricity and no timeline on when we're going to be phasing diesel out of this community, I have a really hard time agreeing to add things to the power grid, and especially when they're going to be taken care of possibly by private business. That's my issue. I don't know. I don't know how to get around that, and maybe that's not something you can answer, but.
Well, I could try to. I mean, so Cam, are you chairing this meeting?
No, I
the
am.
Okay, I apologize. I do have other slides available if you would like to go into carbon and different types of grids and carbon associated with different types of electricity generation mixes. I think that you're.
What I would like to know is whether Yukon government is going to continue to allow us to be the 5th largest diesel run community in Canada and continue to limit renewable independent power producers in said communities like ours, and then ask us to add more diesel use in our community. Like, to me, this doesn't make any sense.
I don't think that's Andre's pay scale.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's you're completely right. I understand that, but that is the question that I would like to be answered before I would make any kind of decision on this whatsoever.
Mayor Irvin, can I?
I could partially respond to that though. So we have 4 diesel communities in the Yukon, right?
Yep.
3 out of 4 have projects that are moving forward or are proposed in different phases. And I have seen a proposal for Watson Lake. I don't know of its status. My branch does oversee the IPP, and of course, we're rooting for IPPs. And we want to see the solar integration project happen in Watson Lake, definitely. I believe that proposal was for a couple of megawatts of solar. and quite a bit of storage. So that would do something pretty significant for Watson Lake. And yeah, apologies, I can't speak to that project or, you know.
I think that the charging station myself, this is Thomas Slager, by the way. I think by having, waiting for someone, I mean, I'm sure if it's profitable, like we have more than one gas station in town. There's more than one grocery store. More than one person can have another business. So it's not a matter of, for me, of one or the other. And the fast station being like $125,000 price tag. I like the idea that we're putting in this infrastructure. So one day, when you want, or they find different ways of producing electricity, whether it's geothermal, solar, biomass, or what have you, the infrastructure will be there to take advantage of it. It's like saying, I'm never going to replace my windows because I don't like how energy efficient other windows may or may not be down the road. I don't know. But I think I'm getting off track. For me, it's about location. And the location to have a vehicle parked for 15, 20 minutes. Will there be more pop up later if there's increased demand? Because if it takes 15 minutes per charge, you're gonna need more room further down the line at some point. So it's not just this location, it's like how many more of these are we going to need later, which is gonna necessitate more space. And as such, I feel that the signpost force at least gives you something to do. The rec center gives you something to, or with the information center, and it gives you need something to do in that 50 minutes, and being parked at the town office, quite frankly, I don't think is very exciting for tourists.
It is somewhat central.
More central there.
Yeah, I have no strong feelings either way about, I know you can get out of your vehicle and walk and get a coffee from any of those locations, because Watson Lake is so small. It's like 150 meters or so from Tags to where you are. And for an electric vehicle user, of course, it's you're going to have on your app, you'll see where the location is. So it doesn't really matter for the EV user. And you're right, we don't know this, it's the chicken and the egg situation. You need that one charger to go in, and then kind of follow where that goes. And yeah, there'll be a need for more chargers later. So if there's a private company in Watson Lake putting in one or several level 2 chargers, that's amazing. That's great, because more is going to be needed. So I don't want to weigh in an emotional way about where this goes, but I do like this site. I also think that it could work equally well in other sites.
Go ahead, Lauren.
I have a question. If we were to put the charging station at the town office, is the intent that the station would be powered by our solar panels? Because you did mention those. And if so, would there be any compensation to the municipality for that, given the fact that those solar panels were intended to offset the energy costs of this building?
I don't think I understand the question. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I can answer it. You
Yeah.
finish. This charger would not be connected to any of our infrastructure. It would be a separate power.
So they don't ATCO or whatever ATCO calls them.
Yeah.
Correctly.
Yeah,
I see.
it won't affect our power or solar.
He just keeps referencing the solar panels, so I didn't know if the intent was that the power would come from the solar panels, or if they would be powered by diesel,
Yeah.
or if it would be powered by
It's
diesel.
from the grid, not from us.
That's it. Aesthetics, appearance.
Yeah, speaking, it's the solar is going into the grid and offsetting diesel. But yeah, we would, what Yukon government would pay for all of it, the electricity and everything.
What's your prediction for use, Andre? What do you figure EV use will be in the next 5 years per se?
Well, I don't know if you've seen federal targets and Yukon government targets, but by 2035, I know you said 5 years, but I'll start with 2035 and go backwards.
Okay.
The federal government has said at that point we need to sell exclusively electric vehicles and I believe plug-in hybrids. So that's only 14 years away. And then within 5 years, I mean, we've heard of stories of people trying to charge in Watson Lake, about a half dozen stories that have come through. And yeah, I think that the Alaska Highway, I mean, the Yukon government is trying to make the Alaska Highway portion that's in the Yukon possible for EV travel. So beginning at Watson Lake all the way to Beaver Creek. Even though we do have grids that, yeah, like you say, they're diesel, but again, I would argue that it's not environmentally worse than driving Honda Civic.
Yeah.
But that's, I think that's beyond the scope of this meeting, but I would love to talk to you about that some other time.
I don't know. I just want to clarify, like, that my issue isn't that it's powered by diesel. My issue is that the community of Watson Lake needs cheap and renewable energy. And our leverage is this. So we need cheap and renewable energy, and you need a charging station. When will the Yukon government put a moratorium on diesel power in the Yukon?
I think we can take that farther.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, for me, that's like,
Okay.
that is the line in the sand for me. Like, I'll not be saying yes to this while there's no answer to that question.
My other question, Andre, sorry, Councilor Bonte,
That's okay.
is let's say private enterprise wants to take on this initiative. Will you stand as competition?
Competition.
Well, if there's legislation for power to be sold to customers, consumers, and you have a free charging station in front of the town hall, then people are going to line up to use free power. And that might be sooner than later.
So for the moment, the way that the Utilities Act is written,
Mhm.
again, I'm not an expert on this act, but utilities are able to sell you electricity. Third parties at this time, there is no set schedule for how much you can charge as a third party. So that's just something to consider, that right now there's kind of a void there. I think Yukon government wants to offer it for free in the short term until, and offer it as kind of a small incentive as we try and move people towards electric vehicles, along with having a $5,000 incentive, along with offering discounted chargers. It's kind of a suite of things that we're working on all at once. Eventually,
Yeah, I'm very reluctant to do anything to encourage people to go on long distance commutes with EV vehicles. Because, okay, so you can get to Swift River, but what if a person wants to go to Ross River? We have to put a sign up. Don't go back, go back. Because they're not gonna make it.
well, you have to start somewhere, right? I mean, I would love to start with the Watson Lake to Ross River on the Robert Campbell Highway, but that's fairly challenging. That's 300 something kilometers. And I mean, where do you got to start somewhere, right? And so we've started with the main grid, and, we're also working on the throughway through the Yukon, which includes Watson and Beaver Creek. And there's certainly no pressure on the town of Watson Lake. Again, to be clear, we just that when I was there visiting, I sort of left with this sense that it was the best site, that it fit with the town, and but we can certainly just think about another location. No problems.
Well, Andre, for the sake of time, sorry,
The other issue would be cold weather, because if you run out of power with one of those vehicles in cold weather, you're gonna sit there and freeze to death.
that's user error.
I just don't think it's good for maybe commuting in Whitehorse, et cetera, within the community, but I would never recommend it to go on long distance commutes.
Well, that will be there is different views on this that exist. It's very early in the adoption of this type of vehicle. We don't have a lot of real world data right now. We do know of people who are commuting good distances, but you're right, Watson Lake to Tesla in the winter is a good distance, and you need to have a brand new electric vehicle to make that distance in the dead of winter, for sure. So there's different ways of looking at it. There's people traveling through in the summertime. If you've got an EV and you can charge in Tesla, then you're charging, on a clean grid, for instance. I don't know. It's there's so many different issues with.
Well, and like you're saying, Andre, I'll just sorry to cut you off, but for the sake of time, we appreciate your presentation. I think there's a mixed review of the fast station. I think that the Yukon and Watson Lake will move forward. I mean, we have to move forward with electric vehicles and hybrid options. It's going to happen. I don't think this is a horrible idea. I think that it would look, in favor for the town of Watson Lake to have such a location, whether it be in front of the town office or somewhere else. Right now would be a difficult time, I believe, to give you a concrete answer, because we're just, I don't know, unless council feels like we could make a vote for this at the moment.
For me, it's location.
So, I think maybe we can come back to you with an answer. We have another meeting, unfortunately not until August, but if we can get back to you in that time frame, Andre, we'd appreciate it.
It won't be ultimately my decision. I'll bring my feedback back to my superiors who want to have this happen in Watson before the snow flies. And so at this stage, we're sort of up against it with those plans. If we keep pushing it. So unfortunately, I can't promise it, but I will take that feedback back to my director.
Okay. I think, if we had to vote on it right now, it'd be tough, but like I said, I think it's favorable for Watson Lake as a whole. I think we just need to start moving forward, and that's the way of the future is what's happening. So like I said earlier, my concern would be as a private, the business world, people are going to want to take this on because it is going to be a resource that could be sold. So I don't want to be in competition with the power producers, which I guess is a part of the problem. So anyways, thank you very much, Andre. And if you would just kind of, obviously Cam is your contact point and he can contact us in various ways. And we really appreciate your presentation.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Andre. Okay. We have a lot on the agenda. Sorry to cut that short for everybody, but it is a big topic. I don't think it's simple, just right here and now. So time to digest and can make a decision, but a decision should be made. I think it's an opportunity for Watson. So we will move right along to Cam, CAO report, please.
Okay, so to follow up on Councillor Slager's questions from the minutes, Ski Hill insurance claim has been approved. The work has been granted to Murphy Built Construction for the renovations. Right now we are waiting material because of all these wonderful stories with COVID. Well, everybody keeps saying COVID, but it's just the access to material right now is a long lead time, but we will have it all completed before ski season, and Murphy Built has it on their priority list, and the minute they have material, it will be completed. The other issue, the swimming pool, we finally have the swimming pool approved for opening, and the pump burnt out. And we've ordered the pump, and we are 3 weeks now since we've ordered the pump, and the supplier cannot tell us where it is because his supplier can't track it. It's coming from the States, and we are chasing it. And we've also had Somebody Electric go in to see if there was something they can do to circumvent to get us up and running. And as of today, we are still without a pump, and without a pump, we cannot operate. We have been running the water slide every day that the sun is shining. So
It's been awesome.
yeah, so we've got lots of good feedback from having the Lucky Lake open, and lucky for us, the weather's really been cooperating so that, people are out there and taking advantage of it. We've actually had tourists pulling in off the highway to use it as well. So that side of it's paying dividends. And so, but the pool, the minute that pump arrives, the pool is gonna be open and going. So our staff is still gainfully employed. And the other things we've had going on though, we've had like the canoe and kayak camp was on last week, and we were right full of kids, and it was a very successful thing. So those things have played into it as well.
Have we thought about a drop dead date for the swimming pool? Because it makes no sense to fire it up August 8th to run it for a week and a half to shut it down.
Well, yeah, the pool is heated and certified to go. I think we've got all the work into it. It's just a matter of when the new pump that comes in is just turn it on. So I think if it comes in, we'll run it for our normal season, which would be till school starts, and then shut it down because we've already got the pool filled, chemicals are balanced.
Okay.
It's just a matter of turning the pump on. So for the rest of to ensure the circulation of the filtration under the permit. So I think we need to run it. We're putting that kind of money into it. We need to.
I didn't know it was full of water.
Sorry, finish.
And the weather isn't gonna continue to be nice, right? So.
I was just gonna ask how long a pump like that lasts. Like, does it break often, or is that something that happens like
No,
once a decade, or?
no, this is our third pump in 4 years, but two of the pumps,
Like, should we get an extra?
no, the first pump that went was when the renovations took place before I started, and the electrician that was contracted by the contractor wired the voltage wrong for the pump.
Mhm.
So it burnt out. Unfortunately, our staff replaced the pump and didn't check the voltage and burnt the second one out. So anyways, we got compensation back through the contractor on the project. And then, so this pump's been good now. I guess we're heading into this would have been year 3 with it. I spoke with Blair Sunby, and he says that this pump should not have burnt out. So he's not sure why. And that's hence the reason I've had him over there trying to troubleshoot to see if there was a short or a fault or something that caused it, because of the fact that it shouldn't have died. And especially after last year, the pool wasn't,
Mhm.
so it should not have burnt out.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're following up on to try and find, and it shouldn't have burnt. But like I said, the pump's been ordered for a long time now, and we just, the supplier, an email from the supplier as of Monday morning stated that they have not been able to locate it, and it's somewhere in transit. So that's there. We are seeing some movement over at the new municipal services building. We finally have sewer and water being dug in, which is a huge step forward. And the other thing that's waiting right now is the concrete pour for the pads and the sidewalks and the entranceways. So that's was slated to take place on Sunday, Monday, and it got bumped, and I haven't got explanation why. But we're making progress over there, although now because of the delays with the water and sewer, it has delayed their proposed completion date into the end of August or beginning of September now. So they were supposed to have been done
Tomorrow. Yeah.
So it's delayed, but we went back and looked into the contract completion date for them. The drop dead date is October 31st. So they're still, if they're done in September, they're still done ahead of schedule.
So that's the big hole beside the Northern Light Center?
That's the water, that's the sewer line.
And is that part of the contract?
Yeah.
Overall contract?
Yeah, that's all part of that. So they're moving ahead with getting that done. My staff has training on the new, on the backup generator there this Thursday. Electricians have that set up. There's the company, the supplier of the generator arrived in town today, and they're doing testing on it and then training for us on Thursday. So that part's going ahead. Infrastructure advised me that the funding for the in-ground infrastructure has been, the ISIP application is at Ottawa. Ottawa's come back to not ask numerous questions about the application for our work, and they've successfully answered them. Ottawa's responded, said they have no further questions, but advised that it's a 2-month, they have a set a diary date of 2 months for the approvals on ISIP applications. And this week, infrastructure branch is drafting the RFP for the design stage for the in-ground infrastructure to get ahead of everything, because they know that ISIP should be a guaranteed thing. They've also drafted a contract for the geotechnical, which needs to be done for the in-ground infrastructure. And as part of that, they're also going to do the geotechnical drilling at the landfill that we require for the public waste drop-off site. So YG is going to absorb all that into the one project. The landscaping tender for the admin building closed today at 4 o'clock. I should know, if not tomorrow, for sure Thursday, if there was any bids and how the prices look, if they're going to be within budget. But YG is covering that as well. So that part. We ran into an issue at the landfill today. Motor in the excavator went. So we are in the process of having a troubleshot, but the issue was the air intake, which is back inside the engine housing where you can't see it, broke off. So it was sucking dust into the engine and took the motor out. So it's been shut down. We do have another hoe at the site right now to cover, but we're not sure costs on the rebuild of the motor could be in the $30,000 range. So yeah, so that wasn't something that we needed to hear today, but more details on that will be coming when I get information from the mechanic. So we'll play by that one. And we had Caitlin McCullough started in administration and under the term position to cover for Grow. She's been in now, I guess this is her 3rd week, and things are going very well. And Tiffany Lund starts next Monday.
Nice.
So we're making some progress. We're a lot of staff taking holidays like everybody else does in the summertime. So, and when the guys have lots on the go, they're trying to maintain the ditches and the lawns and everything and juggle the schedule. So we are making progress. So that is it for now. I have more that'll come in your other readings and stuff that are coming forward.
Okay, thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Karen.
We'll leave any questions for Councillor Open Forum as well. So we'll move right along to number 6, which is the 3rd and final reading of bylaw 2104, being a bylaw to consolidate fees and charges.
Your worship, if I may, you, in your packages, you would see that administration is making a recommendation for the modification for out of municipality waste. That those fees are based on what Whitehorse is charging for the same product. And we, due to our location, we are getting a lot of BC and mine waste and stuff, which it's really hard to do MOUs with some of them, and it would be beneficial to set that higher rate for that type of infrastructure.
I did see that, and what was that amount?
$450.
$450 a ton.
Okay.
So I had a thought when I was, at first I was like, yeah, we should have the same as Whitehorse. And I thought, no, we should like maybe be $50 a ton less so we can like encourage them to bring our stuff.
Well, I guess the thing is it's all based on mileage, Councillor Slager. So anybody that's close, they're gonna haul that way, right? If it's a truck that's coming from Whitehorse, they're gonna haul the Whitehorse. The stuff for us is like the silver tip and garbage and stuff. And I actually went through and we started looking at doing the MOU with them. And when I started looking at the volumes and what the MOU would bring us, we'd be better off, it would be more in favor of the municipality to charge the higher tonnage rate at $4.50. We'd make more money than doing an MOU. And we're gonna get that waste anyways, no matter what.
Okay. Because currently it's still at 250, correct me if I'm wrong?
Well, we've been charging,
270.
no, we're at 280 for unsorted, but we've been charging, and that was a motion through council, was for 350 for BC waste, but it wasn't part of the MOU or outside jurisdiction at 350. So administration would like to make the recommendation that council add that other fee of 450 for outside of.
But how do we know?
Well, everybody, they have to do a declaration at the scales when they come in. And they have to phone to get permission to bring it, right? So I had a call from a contractor today that's bidding some Northwest Tel stuff. And so I told them that we would get back to them to let them know the tonnage rate, and we tell them that when they bid their work, right?
Okay.
And they have to come in to set up an account with us as well to pay. So that's my submission, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions or comments?
No.
The fee, like the fees on motels, are those seasonal or what?
Sorry, which one,
Oh,
Councillor DeVries? Are you talking the water and sewer rates?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, they would be based on, if they don't have a water meter, those are their rates.
But they'd be seasonal, they're not.
No,
No, they're year round.
monthly.
They'd have to, if they don't, the only way they'd be seasonal is if they call for a disconnect of their service in the off season.
Yeah, but like if you have an RV park, say with 50 stalls,
Yes,
But they can get a,
and right now you don't have any customers, you still gotta pay that?
but that's why they can.
yeah, that's why they've all gone to metered rates now. It's incentive
just
for them to put water meters in. That was the reason the rates were set at that time 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Was so that way we have promote water consumption, reduction by having meters.
So if they have a.
Yeah, no, I realize that, yeah.
Yeah, and I think majority of the commercial businesses are all metered now.
any other questions?
No.
Did you upgrade the cemetery fees as per new bylaw?
Well, the new bylaw isn't approved, so
It's sample only.
So we should make an
So we-
amendment later.
it's
So we'll have
something,
to do it again
we'll
later.
have to do it again, but that will be after, that won't be till probably in the new year.
Okay. Any other questions? Then could I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to accept the third and final reading of bylaw 2104
Thank you, Councillor Hancher.
With the amendment?
with the amendment.
Yes,
I'll second.
thank you, Councillor Bonte. Any more questions?
None for me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. All right, number 7. Third and final reading of bylaw 2105, being a bylaw to transfer ownership of land.
I'll make a motion to accept bylaw 2107 or 2105.
I'll second.
Your worship, I guess maybe for the record, for the gallery,
Yeah.
you should say which piece of property that is.
Sure.
And that would be the Lakeview Apartments. And that sale would be to Yukon Housing Corporation.
807 Lakeview Avenue,
Yes.
hereinafter called the Lands. Okay, I hope the gallery heard that.
Yeah, they did.
Yes.
Thanks, Cam. All right, number 8, first and second reading of bylaw 2106, being a bylaw to provide for grants. Would you like me to read through those?
I would.
Yes.
Okay, I will.
Gallery.
You betcha. That the town of Watson Lake will provide a grant in the amount as follows. Municipal taxes, $8,118.32 to the Help and Hope for Family Society. $940 to the Watson Lake Ski Club. $10,999.48 to the Watson Lake Daycare Center and Signpost Seniors. $3,682.30 to the Watson Lake Rodeo Association. And $992 to the Watson Lake Outdoor Rec Association. Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Oh, you know what? I do have one question, sorry. Did anybody have issues with the new rules?
No, Shannon worked with them, and the only one we had some issues was sort of the daycare Signpost Seniors, because there was that the weird thing with ownership. And so for this year, they're fine. And then our finance officer has recommended just to change the wording in the policy for level 2. So that's something that we'll bring forward later.
Awesome.
The motion was carried.
Thanks, sorry.
That's okay.
The Watson Lake Rodeo Association, does it matter? Does it have to be changed to the Horsemen's, or
Well,
is it registered this way?
It's registered under, it's registered on the lease as the Rodeo Association.
Okay.
And I spoke with Corporate Affairs, and Corporate Affairs advised me that in their records, the Watson Lake Riding Association is known as the Watson Lake Rodeo Association. So both names are on file, but the lease agreement with YG is still under Rodeo Association.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Number 9, first reading of bylaw 2107, being a bylaw to regulate the municipal election, which will be
Second,
October 14th, right? Oh, that's a death polls. Regular poll, October 21st.
October 23rd.
21st.
I'll make a motion for bylaw 2107 to regulate the municipal election.
Thank you, Councilor. Sure.
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. First and second reading of bylaw 2108, being a bylaw to transfer ownership of land. And this one is 233 Canyon Boulevard.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, sorry. I'll second.
Any questions?
No.
No.
All in favor? Carried.
Is there any indication on when he has to build, or is there anything attached to it that way?
Yes, in the proposal that was presented to council, that when you guys accepted the bid, he laid out they laid out their timeline. And I think it was sort of like a 5-year thing, but I spoke with him today and he's waiting for title because he wants to start working now.
Nice.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he was told that he can't start until after the August 17th meeting, when third and final reading is done.
Transfer of land.
Yeah, transfer of title, so.
Sorry for the hiatus.
Could we have a special meeting to help them out?
If you requested it, I suppose we could, but we have to have a quorum. If you guys are in favor of that, Cam, if you want to reach out to him and if he needs that, or is looking to get some progress for the summer, I'm sure we'd be happy to do that for him.
Definitely. At least a Zoom meeting.
That's too bad.
Okay.
There's only one item.
Let's do it.
Okay, I will touch base with him.
First Tuesday in August, I guess would be, it doesn't have to be, it can be any day.
Any day, if it's
Yeah.
a special meeting.
Yep. Let us know when. Okay. Number 11, bylaw 0908, the council indemnities bylaw. Everybody's seen it. Everybody had a chance to look at it. Anybody
Dawson Cities.
have any thoughts and ideas?
We talked about this at the last meeting and we had motion for administration to provide us with their
Recommendation.
recommendations.
Yeah.
If you're ready, your worship, I can provide that to council.
I'm ready when you are.
So recommendation from administration is that, I guess I'll give a little history here because otherwise people in the gallery or whoever can jump to a lot of conclusions. So up until last year, council were able to claim a third of their council earnings as tax-free. Federal government changed it. So now all of council's earnings are taxable. Other municipalities went through and increased council salaries by a third and just to offset that or a little more. But we did a survey through AYC of all the municipalities in the territory, and Watson Lake's council wages were next to Teslin were the lowest in the territory. So recommendation from administration is that the mayor's salary would go to 18,000 a year from 10. And council salary would go to $10,000 a year from 7,500. And so that would put a difference on of $18,000 a year on the budget. And the other thing that administration would like to bring forward would be the recommendation that that those amounts would be adjusted annually based on the consumer price index, but would never exceed the index. If the index went higher than 2.5, it would not exceed that amount. And if the consumer price index dropped, it wouldn't change the salary. And then the other thing for the incentive to have councillors participate in more meetings outside of regular council meetings, administration is recommending that councillors would be paid $150 per diem for 4 hours or less when representing the municipality at any training session, event, or meeting that has been approved by council. And the caveat on that, it has to be approved by council. So it would have to be 4 hands in the air for that be approved.
Majority vote.
Majority vote. And then the other would be, the fee would be $200 for councillors per diem for more than 4 hours. The travel expenses for council would still stand as they are written now, which is based on the town's travel policy, and which refers to the Yukon government travel directive, which is set every April 1st.
So, oh, sorry.
Yeah, so that's the recommendation from administration.
So that number, like, I'm just gonna use my own as an example for AYC. So once somebody was approved for, say, AYC, you would say, can these meetings be approved for pay? Somebody wouldn't have to come in every meeting and be like, I attended this for 4 hours. Is it approved?
No.
Okay.
I think it would be, if you're appointed to
Your
a
AYC
board
director.
and you attend those meetings, then it would be, when the appointment is, that would be approval from council. And then I would just need a report to verify that those meetings are. And if they're out of town meetings anyways, the travel vouchers come through me anyways.
Yeah.
But if it is, if they're in town, the way Zoom is now, we know who's accepting the Zoom, and it's easier to track.
Okay.
But I think there's a lot of time that council does put in on these meetings, and I think it is sort of that, I hate to say it, but that dangling carrot to get maybe, because I think people should be rewarded for the work they put in.
That's right.
So I think that was a way to try to do that incentivize thing for that.
Yeah.
So.
And I've said it like it's so many times, not everyone can afford to work for free. And
And the attendance for, community meetings is a really important aspect to mayor and council. So I hope that it would encourage people to partake in those things, because I feel like Watson Lake has been unrepresented in the past, and we need to continue, even though Aaron did a great job with USC.
oh, thank you.
So under this current one, the mayor would see a raise of $8,000 and the counselors would see a raise of $2,500.
Yes, that's correct. And that was based on the amount of hours the mayor puts into to the work, because the mayor's in here weekly per hour meetings type thing.
I got it. I'm just looking in comparison to other communities where we have, say, Dawson City at 15,000, Ames Junction at 15,000, Farrell.
Farrell's at 17.8.
And these are.
Their counselors are also making way more too.
So, but these numbers are the ones before they added the extra 1/3 on top.
No, these are the.
After.
After.
Okay. So I know that Mayor Irvin is here all the time, super busy. And if we're not so lucky to have such a dedicated mayor in our next few years, are we considering maybe making like
Office hours.
office hours? Like, I know that would maybe only be like 1 or 2 days a week.
How do you guarantee that the mayor,
Puts this
Well,
down.
I mean,
Monday.
say it's
I don't think you
Yeah.
can do that in this regard, not here,
Yeah,
but
not in this.
but I think the council would have to discuss that.
Okay.
The new council.
Yeah.
And I guess, and something for the record, these rates wouldn't come into effect
Term.
until the new term, which would be November 1st.
Yeah.
So it won't affect you as a council. So it's not benefiting you.
These haven't been looked at since 2008. I think that we can all attest to the amount of time, we all want to serve our community. We definitely do, but also we want to find the right people to do the job, and a little bit of gratitude as far as financial fiscal payment goes, I think will go a long way. So,
Yeah,
if
make sure
it's
that
not one of us, then make sure somebody realizes that they're going to get paid and they need to do a job that's representative of that.
that's right.
So if council, your worship, if council is agreeable, then we would revise that, the bylaw and bring it before council
For readings.
for readings.
Yeah. So I have a motion to accept or change the recommendation as per administration.
I'll make a motion to direct administration to please put their recommendation into a bylaw for the first reading at our next meeting.
I'll second that.
Any questions? Comments?
Not at this time.
Shaking your head, Councilor Slager.
It's just a big jump.
It is, for sure. But
Hasn't jumped in 13 years.
right, and I think that there's more going on in this office than ever before. We need to stand behind our administration, and if we're gonna, and whoever that person's gonna be, has to be compensated, because it is a huge role. We want that person to take it seriously, so.
That's right.
No, I get that. I'd be comfortable 15, 16, but it's a big jump.
You want to propose an amendment?
Can also do that after first reading.
So let's get that bylaw on the,
Yeah.
on the table, and we can discuss it once it's presented. Good?
Sounds good.
John, any feedback?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Thanks, Cam, and the council. All right, number 12 is the appointment of Kendra Hodson to the Recreation Advisory Committee.
I'll make that motion to accept her coming on board.
I'll second.
Any questions, comments?
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
All in favor? Carried. Do you have a comment here?
Just that, since Tiffany Lund is going to be working in the office on Saturday or starting on Monday, I'm guessing that means she will not be able to be on this board any longer, or will
Is
she?
it a conflict?
I think the way that I'd have, before I really comment, I'd like to read the bylaw for the
Okay.
board, but my view, she doesn't have a vote in any of the stuff that mayor and council does, so I don't think it would be a conflict, but I'll confirm before next meeting for you.
Okay,
Might be advantageous.
So the people that, it says Alyssa reached out to that are no longer interested in being, or appear to no longer be interested in being on the committee, is there
We would need
process to,
we need a motion from council to approve that. So that's also required at this moment, I guess.
okay.
right now?
Yeah, well, you can make a motion now, yeah.
I'll make a motion to remove Devin Brodhagen and Lindsay Woodhouse from the Recreation Advisory Committee.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
And then, so how many people
All in
is,
favor?
sorry,
Carried.
how many people is the desired number for this committee? Like-
I'm gonna have to, I'll go back and confirm
You can seek a
everything.
few more now.
I think maybe there might be one vacancy.
Okay,
But honestly, if just worth mentioning that I'm not planning on running again, I would like to join this board once I'm no longer a counselor. So if that's something we want to just keep in mind, we'll need a new counselor for this board.
Sounds good. Well, I mean, it doesn't sound good.
I see what you're, I know what you're saying.
All right, number 13. The landfill land lease liability regional agreement. Comments, questions?
sorry,
Okay.
you have to accept the advisory committee applications?
No, they were already done.
Oh, is that, okay.
And just for
Did I
the
read this
record,
wrong?
you guys had approved the minutes, but we missed the appointment on the last page.
Okay, so, okay, gotcha,
That's-
thanks.
it was brought
I just thought we missed that. Gotcha, thanks.
Sorry, I'm just racing through everything.
No, it's fine. I'm just,
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Thank you.
it's okay, sorry. Number 13, landfill, land lease liability regional agreement.
I would like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation to allow Graham Lang Law Group to enter into negotiations with Yukon Government on a lease agreement covering the current landfill site.
I'll
Thank you.
second that.
Thank you, Councilor Bonte. Thank you, Councilor Hunter. Any questions or comments?
No,
All in favor?
Your worship, I just have, you said about lease agreement.
Hmm.
Would that also entail the second part of the recommendation to negotiate the new regional landfill agreement and shared liability with Yukon government?
I believe that was implemented as part of the recommendation.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, I just
sorry.
want clarity,
Yep.
please. Thank you.
Which will bring us some dollars. I was just trying to shorten the language.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I just wanted clarity.
Okay. Number 14 is the draft cemetery bylaw. Motion.
I'd like to table it till after the election. Because there's nothing more personal than dealing with your departed loved ones. And I feel that this is like a garbage bylaw all over again.
This is just a draft. We need to get it out to public.
oh, so this is
Okay.
obviously going to public
Well, I'd like people to
consultation.
talk about it, because I don't wanna make any of these decisions, because some of the stuff that I've seen in here, like, for 14 days, you can put as many flowers as you want on a grave, and after that, only from May 14th to September, and after that, they're all removed. What happens if you had somebody died in October? Can't bring them flowers anymore? Or else, and you're in violation, then you get a $2,000 fine, according to this bylaw? No, thanks.
I thought that part was a little intense as well, Mr. Slager.
But you know what I mean?
There are some specifics, but that's why this is a draft and this has to go to public consultation. So
So we're just accepting it so that it can do that.
yes,
Perfect. Then I'll make a motion to accept the first draft of the updated cemetery bylaw.
I'll second that.
thank you, Councilor Hanchar. Thank you, Councilor Levante.
So now it will, your worship, it will go on the website, Facebook,
Yes.
and there will be public meetings about it.
So please bring these things up to people so that we can amend them to make it more comfortable for people.
And this, there was already the survey went around and we had it on the website. There was really good feedback on the survey. So a lot of this was from that survey. So, just for the record.
So all in favor to accept the draft?
So this work probably wouldn't, or, well, okay, we're not on doing the work right now. It
It's
doesn't
just,
happen until next year, right?
Carried.
for everyone in the gallery, please do circulate it, download it, print it off, share it with your friends, let's get this right.
That's right.
Right.
Darn tootin'.
All right. So number 15 is the CMG payment. 2021 comprehensible municipal grant overpayment from YG in the amount of $94,520, which we have agreed to pay back to the Yukon government.
Yes, your worship. So there was an overpayment. We questioned this when it came in, and we were told that it was correct, but now they've come back and said that no, they were wrong. So we've come to an agreement on a repayment plan, but it wouldn't be till next year's budget. So that way, because this year's budget's balanced, and to take 94,000 out of it, what would we cut?
Mhm.
So by rolling it over into next year's budget, it won't affect this year's operations. And we do have the money still in our bank account, so we would just pay it after January 1st, we would repay that money to YG. So otherwise, we'd have to do numerous readings of the budget and
Yeah.
juggling of our finances for the rest of this
That
year.
sounds-
It's not worth the heartache.
Sounds good.
But this is just bothersome, you know what I mean? It's because it's like, here, have this money. Oops, we gave you too much. Sorry, now I need it back. It's kind of like, well, isn't that kind of your fault too?
And we discussed it, and maybe,
Let's split it.
Yeah, right?
I honestly did have those conversations with YG on that, and Jordan might want to chime in, but we were told that if we don't pay it back, then they'll take it back.
They like the bank.
Like that.
Big Brother's always watching. That's all I gotta say.
Good luck getting a charging station. Just kidding, Jordan.
Trade you for lights to 2 mile.
Well, I think to be fair, they should have went 50-50.
It is what it is.
Hey, I'll tell you what, guys, if whatever interest that 95,000 generates, you guys can keep that.
Oh, generous of you.
Regret it.
12 cents.
Yeah, 0.0031 we're getting right now.
Yeah, nice. So generous, Jordan.
You could bring us a box of steel Timbits on your next trip.
You betcha.
Let's go to number 16. Lake Trail. There has been several comments regarding our trail system, the local area.
Mhm.
I asked Cam to put this on here just so that we could start the discussion around how we can move forward with the use of the trail. So whether that, we don't have there's not going to be a solution today, but it is going to have to be a conversation going forward, and we're just going to pass it on to the next lucky group of people that want to deal with it. But we have to have this conversation because the complaints are surrounding motor vehicles and walking trails
And garbage.
and garbage.
I think it's really nice that the person who wrote the letter provided a really easy solution. I think the meat of the trail situation is that the Lake Trail is no motor vehicles allowed. And we used to have a barrier there, which is literally still there. It's just not in the ground. It just needs to be put back in the ground. And there is a trail right next to Lake Trail that is allowed to have motor vehicles, but it has not been maintained, and it just needs to be cleared, and it needs to be properly marked. I drove it the other day to see what the issue is. But you can't actually see where you're supposed to enter Mid Lakes Trail on the other side. It's not marked, which is why I think people are taking Lake Trail instead. So hopefully that should be just like an easy fix to replace the barrier and take a chainsaw and cut those trees down and then put a sign on the other side. I don't think it's unreasonable what she's asking.
No.
And I mean, if you do go down there, if you guys have gone to have a look, you'll see what she's talking about, that the trail is completely degraded from the quads. It was never built to have quads. We're literally just It's an asset. It's our asset that's getting ruined
So there's just
simply because,
if you have people walking or skiing or whatever it is, and you have these
that's right.
vehicles flying around the corner.
And there is a really super simple, cheap, actionable solution that like we could literally do.
Even if it doesn't completely mitigate the entire problem, because you know people will still find some way to use that trail,
Absolutely,
but
but we're making it super easy by like, what, there used to be a metal barrier, it's leaned against the fence, it just needs to be put back up. And it needs to be properly marked. People are taking it because it is easy and they don't know the other way to get into the trail. So let's mark the trail, let's put the barrier back up and let's cut the trees down, because you can't get through there in a quad, part is part of the issue. So in that respect, I hope that we will be fixing that this summer, waiting until we have a new council that.
yep, okay. I think that's easy actionable, yep, process for sure. I just, people have been using that trail for so long. And it's gonna, it'll definitely detour people, maybe at first, but it's gonna be continued to be used like that. So I think that going forward, we need to come up with a way to accommodate motor vehicles.
Well, I think that we do already have that. And I just think that making sure that the motor vehicle trails that we have, because there are several, are just well marked and well cleared. And also, I think it's really important that we and the people who work for the town lead by example. So I know that that has been an issue, that there's several of our staff that are using it, probably for the exact same reason with no ill intent. But like, let's make sure that our staff and our council are not using non-motor vehicle trails for our quads.
And then what happens if people continue to use it?
Well, I mean, I think there's only so much we can do, but we can, like, I really encourage all of you guys to just drive down there after the meeting today to the entrance to the park is what she's talking about, but there is a metal barricade that just needs to be put back in there. And
I'm sure administration can deal with that, the small little things off the hop, and we can see how it goes from there.
yeah,
I would like to have a conversation around Wye Lake Trail, because I still think there's some areas within there that, we can use better. I think it is a great asset to our community, and I think that it's underutilized. My biggest pet peeve is the section right here, which is about the ugliest piece in the entire trail. You can barely get a bike through there. And Jess, my wife, just about fell in the lake yesterday because it was her first time riding a bike in 10 years. But still, it's the ugliest piece, and it's right here. So if you want this to be a trail entrance, it better look like a trail entrance.
definitely.
And then the rest of the trail just needs an upgrade. I don't know if we put money into it ever. I think it needs a little bit of love, because
It's
motor
all
vehicles.
through gas tax, right? Because it's a park, and I mean, it would be a really great place to start fire smarting in town. It would cut down on the bugs.
And the crime,
That's right.
I'm just saying there's like
Crime.
fires and things that are being lit
That's right.
over actually across from your dad's place.
And not only that, but you'll notice when you go and look at that trail that somebody from Peter's Trailer Court has gone in there and clear cut a bunch of trees. And to be honest, I don't blame them. You can't see the lake from their houses that are on the lake. Not that I condone that in any way, but it would be really nice.
Fire smarting would just deal with that issue.
Totally. And we apply for funding through that every year. So the fire department does, I believe.
So going forward, hopefully we can put this onto the agenda for the budget
Definitely.
next year.
A lot of these things are addressed in the tourism report that I submitted. So I would definitely like to see that taken into account for next year's budgeting process.
As far as the garbage from the fireworks,
Yeah, and that's something that
I'd
I've
like-
addressed. Yeah.
you have,
Well, I've had the guys go back in and clean.
well, okay.
There's
It'd be nice if it was done on November 1st.
Well, and that it should be.
Yeah,
I do understand that it depends on the year. There could be snow covered stuff, but it's no.
I mean, even if it was like the grads or like somebody that got hired to go into it, I think, if it's done the next day, then it doesn't blow into the trees and the swamp and everywhere.
I totally agree. And if I would have known that there was a garbage issue there, it would have been addressed, because that's it's not something the municipality
Mhm.
condones.
Yeah.
So that's something that I can do.
And the firefighters, I can tell you from being on the other side, that fence lighting them off, like, we're not trying to make a mess.
I know it's
just-
dark and it's late,
dark,
it's
even
whatever.
even with
Of course.
floodlights, like, okay, now, you know, like, it's
Yeah.
time to go.
And then-
And,
But you could put,
But them still being there in June is, you know.
well, you go back the next day, and if it snows just a little skiff, like, you get as much as you can, but there's always like those little, you know,
I can just say that this is something that I have brought up now for 3 years.
I know, and we try to do as
We
best we
pick it-
can, Aaron, but we don't have, like, they're not, like, you
Well,
got.
I mean, it's not enough.
Okay, I think we're just getting into
Yeah.
banter about it.
We try.
Administration's aware of the issue and they will deal with it as
Yeah.
best of their.
Right on.
thank you.
And just in case you didn't know, there's also in the bushes a bunch of glass. Like, I don't know whether somebody threw a huge box of glass, but
Where?
over in that spot. So whenever they go and do the cleanup or fire smart or whatever, please just be very careful and please take it out. It's treed in, so it's really hard to get to.
Okay,
Anyways,
we're gonna carry on.
okay.
So thanks for the action on those, that Wiley Trail issue, Cam. Correspondence, we have none. Except for what was.
There's one there.
There is one, your worship.
There was, I saw this. It was from the RCMP. I'll just read it, it's short. Dear Mayor Irvin and Council for the town of Watson Lake, on behalf of the M Division RCMP Critical Incident Program, we wish to extend our sincere appreciation for allowing us the use of Lakeview Apartments to conduct training exercises during the week of June 14th, 2021. The apartments enabled a realistic environment upon which we could meet our needs, training needs, thereby contributing to the community safety of the citizens of the Yukon. Kindest regards.
That's nice.
Yeah.
There. Okay, Councilor Open Forum, is there any more questions?
I don't think so.
Your worship, sorry, I had one comment, if I may.
You're not a counselor, but sure.
Oh, sorry. It was relevant. Sorry, it was just about the minister's visit of a couple of weeks ago and the rec center roof repairs. And it sounded to me like there may be interest in looking at that project, and if there was interest in expanding it, it'd be worth passing along a letter to the minister, just expressing your interest in exploring that with Yukon government. And that was just one follow-up thing I had from there. And I apologize for not knowing when to bring that up.
I will retract my comment due to the good news. Thank you, Jordan.
No
We will submit a letter for that request. Thank you. Any other questions from the council?
There's just one, Davida Wood brought it to my attention, there's this Arctic Innovation Program. And they have 500, no, a lot of money that they want to, that people can nominate. You need to be nominated in order to apply to get at this pocket of funds. And it was a husband and wife that spent a lot of time in the north. And it's all geared towards like northern type projects. And I was asked if I would be like one of the people, like if you want to get nominated from various communities, you can go into that community and say, hey, I need you to nominate me. And I'm just wondering if as an official town nominator, if you guys would be okay if I acted as that role. There's more to it. I got the verbal lowdown this weekend. I have some of it doesn't cost us anything. Nobody has to do anything. Just that I put my name forward and said, well, I'd probably be interested in that, but I'll ask the town council if there's a problem with me taking on that role. If not, I'd open it up to whoever else wanted to do it. Something I'd like to do if everyone's okay with it.
I'd just like to see a little more,
Yeah, there'll be more,
if you could provide us with some written feedback on that, and I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem, but it'd just be nice to present it
yes,
fully.
Your worship, they are actively seeking community members in every community to take on that role, but there is a package under their Arctic Inspiration stuff or their website that we can Councillor Slager could present to council.
Okay. So you know what I'm talking about, thank you.
Yes.
If we have an emergency or not emergency, if we have an impromptu council meeting, maybe you can just pop that on there and it can be a quick conversation. And if we have to make any kind of motion, we will. Cool. Okay.
I have a couple things. I just want to comment on the Yukon Electric. Just to clarify, I truly believe in renewable energy and using electric vehicles. I think it's an excellent idea. This feels like robbing Peter to pay Paul, and it doesn't feel like a step forward to me. It feels like making it look like we're doing something, but we're not actually doing something, and I'm not interested. Anyways, next. I am wondering, is the Parks and Recs fully staffed right now?
We are.
And so just the issue is that there's just not the issue. I have noticed that they're working very, very hard, and yet we're still not able to keep up with all the mowing and all the weeding. It's just we're doing the very bare minimum, but we're not doing any, like we're keeping the grass mowed, but we're not being able to do any weeding and like do we need another staff member is what I'm asking, sorry.
Well, yeah, it would have, I should say we're fully staffed with full-time staff.
Okay.
We've had issues with summer students, which normally fill those roles.
Okay.
We've had to terminate some.
Okay.
So hence we do have vacancies on that summer stuff. So it's always the juggling act because we don't need more full-time staff the rest of the year, but we need seasonal staff.
Yeah.
And this year we were fortunate that we actually had summer staff or seasonal staff that applied for positions, but that hasn't worked out the way it should for continuity.
Okay, I just wonder if it might be a job that's for somebody that is beyond a student, and perhaps it might be worth considering hiring adults and just increasing the rate of pay because they're actually quite difficult labor jobs. So anyways, I notice how hard they're working and I notice they still can't keep up. And I'm just wondering how we can help them make that happen because obviously it's really important that we stay on top of that stuff because otherwise we're basically just wasting money on them. Anyways, okay. And I have one more because we talked about the other stuff. Sorry, two more. The baseball diamond is not in good condition. The grass, it needs a lot of love. The infield needs to be completely redone. It needs new dugouts. I really hope that the rec department and new council and admin will be looking into that for next year. The grass at this point is so dangerous because it needs more than just mowing and grass or watering. I encourage you guys to go check it out. It's falling down out there. So if we are not going to replace it, it needs to be updated or we need to have a serious look at it. And the last thing that I have is, I don't know whether you guys have heard, but there are 5 teachers leaving the elementary school this year. I would really like to either direct administration or perhaps write a letter myself that you guys can approve, but I'd like to ask the education department what's going on and what they're going to be doing to solve the problem that we obviously have in keeping teachers in Watson Lake at the elementary school.
If you would like to write a letter, then we can review it and
Okay.
go from there. But it will have to be approved by council.
Yes, no problem. I'll write it and email it to you guys.
Thanks.
And that is it from me.
John, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'm still curious on what's happening with Ace Asphalt. I understand we've got a little bit of movement there. I had a phone call from the environment people. I wasn't there and I tried to get back to them and they never seemed to get back to me, so.
That's an administrative question.
Yes, and we've laid a complaint with environment and I have not heard back from them. So it's on my list to follow up, but I just haven't got there because the list is growing daily. But it is on our list because we are dealing with the tax lien as well. So it's that juggling thing that we're trying to do, but we will not finalize the tax lien process if there's environmental issues still outstanding.
Well, that's the big thing, if we take that lot back. The ideal thing that if we can go back to Department of Highways or whoever initially issued that contract to put all that stuff there. Take some liability for it.
Yeah, and we've been playing all kinds of games with them, and because the fact that YG says in their records that it was a BC-based business under an inter-provincial thing out of BC. We've gone back to BC. BC says they have no records of them ever being a corporation in BC. So it's sort of in this no man's land, but it is a YG environment issue, and we need them to go through their steps before we make any other decisions going forward. So.
Well, all I know is it used to be Husky Oil that was the initial. The other thing I had brought it up is that, and it's scary looking, that fire hydrant in front of, on Finlayson, in front of the 12th plex. You know, it sticks up about that far out of the ground. There are no posts or anything to prevent somebody from running into it. It's rusty and ugly. I think something has to be done about that. I see some of the fire hydrants are getting painted, so maybe they're working on that.
No, they are working on them. We've got, I don't know, we have 90 some fire hydrants. So they're working on them as they go, as they come along. But the same guys are also working on the water line breaks, the sewer issues. So we're getting to them. Not all hydrants in town have the bollards beside them. It was something that was never put in, and as the guys are going around and working on them, and if we do have bollards, they are putting them in. They just replaced the one on the corner of Ravenhill and Campbell Way. Somebody ran into it and then stole the hydrant. We found the hydrant in a ditch numerous months later on the opposite end of town. I'm not sure who would want to pick up a fire hydrant and carry them because they are not light. So anyways, no, I've spoken with utilities about that hydrant, and it's one of the ones on the list that they're working towards.
They probably needed something for their dog.
Yeah, or we find counselors.
Would be such a cute piece of gardening. A fire hydrant in your yard to pee on.
Yeah.
All right, no more questions. I just have one comment. We discussed the idea of a building dedication for the new municipal services building. Still like to make some headway on that. I know that you guys are swamped. I understand it's difficult. How can we go about that and in the simplest manner?
Can we put it out to the community and then take the top, like say the top 5 and then put it back out and vote on it? Like just a quick survey monkey
I
or?
think so.
Piece of paper in a box at the grocery store?
Yeah, sure, whatever you guys want. The easiest way.
Let's do
Easiest way
that.
possible. So if,
Okay. Let's everybody think of 5 names tonight and email them to Cam. Or what?
I think there needs to
Just
be,
put it on.
from administration's point of view, your worship, I think that it needs to be a survey that's done and sent out to the municipality. Because us or anybody or any user group sitting around in the thing will focus on their group, not the municipality as a whole.
Right.
Fair.
So we need to create that.
Survey monkey and a way for people to do paper submissions or
Yeah.
Anonymously
The
as
box
well.
at the town and the rec center and.
The grocery store is usable
Yeah.
space if you
Okay.
so prefer.
And it's something that can be done as we move forward. It doesn't need to be done the day
Nope.
we take possession.
Nope,
because
of course.
it's something that can be commissioned.
Of course, it just would be nice to have the idea thrown out there so people know that it's being considered. Not,
Yeah.
of course, it does not have to be the day we take the keys, but I want people to know that we're thinking about that.
Mhm.
Okay, fantastic. No more questions. That's not a question. We'll move on to gallery open forum. I'll go through the list. First on the list, Colleen Kraft, do you have any questions? No, thank you. Okay, Janice, no comment. Ruth, I saw you get excited. I know you have a question.
No, I was just thinking that the letter going to the teachers, it would be great if the Chamber of Commerce was notified, and maybe they would add a letter with your letter. More letters are, I think, are a great tool.
Okay.
And the other thing is the border is open. So we're hoping with our business that we can support a lot of other businesses in town, and we're excited about that.
Woohoo.
Great news. Okay, thanks, Ruth. Duly noted. We can get a hold of the, well, you're on the chamber, right? So maybe you could just, you're not on the chamber anymore?
No.
Well, I'm a member, but no, I'm not a director anymore.
Okay,
What about John?
John, you're a member of the chamber. Can you just mention, can you mention to the Chamber of Commerce what we are
Oh, yeah, yeah.
airing and that they could, you know,
If they could also write a letter.
I missed the last meeting, or I missed their executive meeting the other day, so.
I know their new administrator pretty well, so I could probably mention it to her. Jordan Stackhouse. Now would be a great time to give us good news and comment.
Good news would be that I'm hearing it may be possible that municipalities may be getting another gas tax top up in the near future. So that is not official, but this is what my sources tell me. So I know this meeting's being recorded, but I never said that. But you asked for a piece of good news, so there you go. And the comment just would be like, I really appreciated visiting a few weeks ago with the minister. I thought it was good. It was really great to see everyone. As I mentioned, I think the town's looking really great. I was just reflecting on the way back. Like the first time I was through Watson Lake, first time I visited Watson Lake was 2009. So was that like 12 years ago? And it's really changed a lot and for the better. So as your term is like winding down, up or whatever, give yourselves a pat on the back because you guys have done a really great job this term. And it's been a pleasure working with you. I think we're gonna have like a couple more meetings, but then you guys are gonna like wind down for an election. So any of those things that you want to get out of the way as well, do let me know. Cam and I are working hard in the background on the OCP issues and the land development issues, and information will be forthcoming, I guess, on how we could potentially move forward on those, but having lots of communication on that. So I'll fill you in later on that. Yeah, that's my comment. Thanks.
Thanks, Jordan. Thank you very much. Appreciate all your advice and service and commitment to Watson Lake. We really do appreciate you.
Likewise, and I hope to see many of you running again for council and mayors and various positions. And Terry, after you enjoy a year or two retirement, maybe you can consider it.
We need your expertise, Terry.
Idea.
That's an excellent idea.
Yeah. Nice try. Okay, well, I don't think there's any. Patty, sorry, your number there. Do you have any questions or comments?
Hey, thanks, Chris, or Your Honor. I know I don't have any questions except for maybe since Ruth has said that the border is now open, I'm wondering when council meetings will be open to the public again.
Never.
It's a good question. We have 5 meetings left, so I would say November 1st. Just kidding. I guess we could revisit that idea before the end of our term.
I guess from administration's point of view, it comes down to space in here that we're allowed. So that's something we'll have to revisit based on COVID guidelines going forward.
Thanks, Patty.
Yeah, I just understood group sizes had been adjusted upwards.
Yes, but it's still based on square footage of the space allowed.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Don't believe we have any in-camera conversation.
No, we don't, your worship.
Dustin, so motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? No questions allowed.
All right.
See you guys later.
Thanks, Jordan. See you later, Ray.
Yeah.
Bye, Ruth.